Meeting to order. Please stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Here.
Mrs. King? Here. Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Schuler?
Here.
Mr. Tinkin?
Here.
Mr. Borbeck?
Here.
Mayor McKenna?
Here.
Present.
Thank you. Statement of compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act. Pursuant to requirements of the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice filed in the office of the Borough Clerk, posted on the Borough website, and on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Published as a legal notice in the Co-Star newspaper and mailed to those requesting notice and providing payment in accordance with borough policy. Need a motion to approve the agenda with additions of resolution 108, which is consent of judgment in the matter of Crippen versus Manila Heights, and also ordinance number 2015-04, establishing salary and wages for year 2015. Need a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
I'll second. Do you have any questions on the agenda? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the minutes for the executive session, March 9th, 2015, and we take them one at a time.
Yes, Mayor, thank you.
The executive session, March 9th, 2015, and the regular session, March 9th, 2015.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Abstain.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion for April 13th, 2015.
Make the motion. Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin, you need to abstain. Mr. Tinkin?
Abstain.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I need a motion and a second for the April 27th, 2015.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call. Executive session.
Yeah, okay, only executive.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Abstain.
Mr. Borbeck?
Abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you. And need a motion and a second for regular session on May 26th, 2015.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a presentation at this time for Ms. Doris McCune, proclamation, and I would like to present it. Please step forward, McCune. We have a proclamation here honoring Mrs. McCune. Congratulations for your appointment. I'm going to read this, so bear with me.
Okay.
There's a proclamation, whereas Doris McCune was appointed as a member of the Board of Health for the Borough of Spring Lake Heights on February 12, 1996, and has served in that capacity for 19 years. And whereas, in serving as a member of the board, Doris displayed professionalism, thoroughness, and concern, keeping the health and welfare of the citizens of Spring Lake Heights a priority. And whereas, Mayor and Council would like to recognize Doris McCune for her dedication and years of exemplary service, and whereas, for personal reasons, Doris chose to resign from the Board of Health on March 4th, 2015, and we hope everything's okay.
Okay now.
Good, thank you. Now therefore be resolved by the mayor and council of this borough of Spring Lake Heights that Doris McCune be thanked and commended for her years of service to the borough, and that good health and best wishes are bestowed upon her. Signed by the mayor and all the council.
It was my pleasure to serve on the council, and I believe in volunteerism, and I think that we have a wonderful community. My husband and I will celebrate 40 years in Spring Lake Heights as of 13th of the month, and we raised 4 children here. We have 11 grandchildren. 3 of them play on the recreation in Spring Lake Heights, and we couldn't ask for a better community or a better town. So we know we made the right choice.
Thank you. And it's from all the good volunteers like you that we have in the town. We know it's such a good town.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your volunteers.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And today, we have Mike Cole who would like to present something as well. Mike here.
Thank you, Mayor.
As the Health Commission that services the borough of Spring Lake Heights, we would like to honor Doris with a certificate of appreciation for her dedicated and outstanding years of service on the Board of Health of the borough of Spring Lake Heights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. All right, we have a public hearings. We have an ordinance 2015-3. This is an ordinance to exceed the municipal appropriation limit and establish a cap bank. Now, if anyone would like to speak on this ordinance, just step forward and give your name and address. Yes, Jim.
Yes, John Benjamin, with Flex Support Land Avenue. I was just looking at this, reading this through the ordinance, and I don't understand it exactly. So I just have some questions about it. You say that in the 3rd paragraph that it's advisable and necessary to increase the budget by up to 3.5%. But then in the next paragraph, you said you're increasing it by 2%, correct? And so that other 1.5% goes into the cap bank, is that?
John, we have our financial
Yeah.
consultant here. He has a good explanation for that.
Yeah, I just wondered if you could just explain the whole thing.
The mayor seems to have a good
Oh,
explanation.
okay. Yeah.
Sir, I'll answer
Okay, all right.
if you follow-up questions. I'm John Barracuda Consultants. The municipal bank law gives us a figure every year based on the cost of living, and every year it changes. Some years it's 2%, some years it's 1%, this year it's 1.5%. So the paragraph that you reference basically makes reference to the 2% difference between the 1.5 and the cap of 3.5%. And really, this is a best practices scenario. This is not physical money that we're putting in our pockets at the town, at the borough level. It's simply giving us a wiggle room in case there's some one-time adjustments in cost for the municipality for the next 2 years. For instance, we've all seen gas prices. It can go down, it can go up, and sometimes it can double. That's where this type of bank is allowed to basically exceed the 3.5% per cap in a given year.
So the cap is 3.5%.
Correct.
We're only increasing 2%, but in the future, you have that extra 1.5% as kind of wiggle room.
Not exactly, and I apologize for not being clear. The state allows us to go up 1.5%. As I said, that's a fluctuation rate. They tell us every year what that rate is.
Okay.
The 2% really just references the difference between what is a gimme of 1.5%.
And 3.5.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, fine. Yeah, no, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no hands, I need a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion to adopt? Yeah? Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any questions? A roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Rohrbach?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Also, we have a We'd like to introduce an ordinance 2015-04. This is the ordinance of the Borough of Spindler Heights establishing salary and wages for the year 2015 for the borough clerk and the deputy tax collector and utility collector. Need a motion and a second to introduce.
Oh, I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorga?
Yes.
Just as a clarification, that was introduced, and we will have a public hearing on that at our next council meeting, June 22nd.
Yes. Thank you, Gene. Now we have resolution 2015-100, the 2015 municipal budget. John, did you say you wanted to speak?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, we need to do 99 first.
Sorry.
Budget
It's
by
okay.
title.
Budget by title.
Thank you. Resolution 2015-99, I'm going to read the budget by title only. Yes. John, is this the one you want to speak on? Next one, okay. Now, whereas New Jersey SLH 48-48 provides that the budget be read by title only at a time of public hearing if a resolution is passed by not less than a majority full governing body, providing that at least 1 week prior to that date of hearing, a complete copy of approved budget as advertised has been posted in the municipal building, the local public library, and copies have been made available by the clerk to the persons requesting. And whereas these conditions have been met, now therefore be resolved by the governing body, Borough of Spindler Heights, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, the budget shall be read by title only. Need a motion and a second?
Make that motion.
Second?
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Vorga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution 2015-100, the 2015 municipal budget. We need a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, the,
Pardon the
Tom,
interruption.
you have something?
No, I thought John was going to speak on this one.
Mr. Mayor and Council, we had a thorough budget review with the local governmental services. It was conducted last week. Went down to their offices to clear any budget comments. They felt the budget was adequate, met the necessary funding requirements to operate the municipality and also the utility. And they recommended a small budget amendment that's on your agenda next. It takes a little bit out of our revenue for fire services and also, Uniform Fire Safety Act revenue. And also it takes a little bit of a haircut on some of our pension bill. We were overfunded, so it's like a $1,900 adjustment. In addition, we had the net valuation taxable from the county assessor finally was released to us. I think I told you we were waiting for that based on our pilot agreement with the county that we wanted to get those figures in order to set our open space tax, which is a penny. So those are the two things that are going to be handled in the budget amendment. But at this point, we welcome you to open up a public meeting on the introduced budget. At that point, after the public comment, we're going to need a resolution to amend the budget and then open a public session on the amended budget, and then you're free to adopt.
So I'd like to open up a public hearing on the 2015 municipal budget. You may give your name and address if you have a comment on the 2015 municipal budget. Seeing no hands, I need a motion to close it.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Now this is resolution 2015-101, the budget amendment that John just spoke on. Excuse me. The 2015-101, the budget amendment. That's it, okay. Need a motion and a second?
Make that motion.
Any questions? Roll call, Ginny?
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Mr. Schuler,
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin,
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I'd like to open up a public hearing for the budget amendment. If anyone has a question or would like to speak on the amendment, just step forward, give your name and address. See no hand, I need a motion to close the public hearing on the budget amendment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, Denise? I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Now we need a motion to adopt the budget amendment. Motion and a second to adopt the budget amendment.
Can I ask a question before?
Yes, go ahead.
We were just talking in the back room, and I just wanted to try to clarify something. I think at least part of that discussion I think was worthwhile having for the public. Chris had asked and I had asked, like, we had designated a certain amount of this budget to moving salaries, allocated salaries to from our general fund to the water and sewer utility. And the question that I have is just, what is our plan going forward? Is that the new allocation? Are we happy with that? Or do we have a plan to sort of pull that back going forward? And I know you partially answered it in the back room, but I think it would be better if you do have an answer, you know.
I don't have a problem with it if we want to review some of the questions from the money that was bonded 6
Yeah.
years ago and what was left over. John, if you could give a little more insight to how we could use that. I think
Yeah, that was, I mean, what we
his
were
question
talking
now is we've reallocated some items to keep the tax at zero, so there's no increase for this year based on a lot
Basically, yeah.
of circumstances going on around for the residents of town. We want to maintain zero.
And
We've
I
done what
just,
we've had to do for that, but in discussion about money that was bonded several years ago that we've had set aside for certain projects that came out through some of these grants we were awarded, where it was mentioned that we had already had the money from some time ago that's available. Part of the discussion on that was using that capital for some of the capital purchase we had, so you had the best explanation for how we could go about doing that.
Mayor and Council, the discussion that we had in the clerk's office had to do with the resolution I believe we have on your agenda to cancel some unexpended capital balances to free those funds up, which will lapse the capital surplus both in the current general capital and sewer capital funds. If I could focus your attention on one portion of the current fund budget, which has to do with capital outlay, which at this point I believe we had budgeted fire whistle and half of a fire chief's vehicle. When we look at the money that we're going to free up in the general capital fund, that cannot be used for salaries and wages and other expenses. It has to be used for capital assets, something with a useful life of over 5 years in some cases. If the decision of the governing body is that we take a look at, moving forward, what the capital program is going to be for the borough, we can utilize this excess funds we have in the capital fund and leave the money that we have in the capital budget of the current fund for the fire equipment intact and not spend out of it. If we decide to do that, meaning that we're not going to open up purchase orders for the current fund for the capital expenses, but later on through ordinance allocate those funds in the capital fund, those monies in the current fund will lapse, and that will be in addition to the fund balance in 2 years. If we do it through a cancellation resolution, it will lapse at the end of 2015. So one of the questions I heard was, how do we wean ourselves off of an allocation of, say, 51% of someone's salary towards a utility, as opposed to 50-50? That's going to be something as a revenue source. In essence, you can increase your utilization of fund balance by those unexpended capital funds in the current fund. So it really comes down to this. If we have, through this cancellation resolution in the capital fund, free up money, then we don't have to spend it out of our current fund. And those monies in simple lapse to fund balance and brighten the financial picture of the borough.
okay, yeah, because I mean, it alleviated somewhat my concerns, because my concern is we're taking something over $100,000 and of salaries from the general fund and pushing them into the sewer and utility. And I don't, if that stays there, my concern is in 3 years, we're gonna have to raise water rates,
And
right?
I agree with that.
I wanna make sure that there's a plan going forward And it sounds like this gives us some flexibility at least to.
Well, I think that that was done to offset those capital expenses, which we now have other means to fund, so in
Well,
reality,
yeah, that's
for
why
next
we
year.
were building up the surplus. is
Well,
what you're saying.
We were discussing doing that until there was a discussion about these monies that were there, that were already funded, that are already having interest paid on, that we should be using instead of applying new money and generating new revenue through taxes. So, in answer to your question, most of those one-time capital expenses that he mentioned, such as the chief's car, police car, the fire whistle, are one-and-done deals. Next year, we don't have that money, that goes away.
But we do have other capital needs based on the spreadsheet that Jay put together in terms of dump trucks and all those things. So there's gonna be capital needs that continue to come up over time. So, yes, this year it's the chief's car and the fire whistle, but next year there's gonna be other things. And the
Yeah.
following year, there's gonna be other things. And that's the way it should be.
Well, I don't
Because you
think- yeah.
put things on a maintenance plan, so you don't end up bonding $750,000 to buy cars and things that you should be paying for as you go.
Well, I think, yeah, we saw that this year in that when we originally talked about adding $50,000 to the capital fund, we didn't have a particular need to spend it on. By the time we got through with the budget process, we had a whistle and a chief's car that needed to be replaced. So, I mean, it's a very good example of the fact that, yeah, that need is not gonna go away.
No, and this budget that's proposed still takes money out of the fund that we collect for water. And that wasn't how it was initially proposed 3 years ago.
And that's why I'm asking how, if there's a plan to get it back out of there. Or
Well, the plan would be to budget appropriately this year to show that there is a plan.
Okay. I mean, I think we've been down that
Well, I
road,
think
we've had that
we-
discussion of
Right,
whether or
right,
not
and we
that.
had an appropriate budget with the first one that you introduced.
Anyway.
Well, I think part of that as well with reallocating salaries to the water utility is I just signed a couple vouchers to replace a couple fire hydrants that were almost $20,000 we spent that our people in-house can do. There's one example of reallocating salaries to things we plan on bringing back in-house that on the net, the delta's gonna be in our favor.
I just want to make sure that we're comfortable with the
Well-
amount that we're reallocating, is my problem, not that we are reallocating some salary, that's all.
I personally don't have a problem with it because I think part of what we discussed was having a true capital plan where we would discuss what equipment needed to be replaced as opposed to just putting money aside for the sake of putting money aside and hoping it would be there. If we were to have a true plan in front of us that showed us what equipment this money would go to be replaced, what the schedule was of when it actually was going to be replaced, I think it's a different discussion.
Yeah, I
To
just-
arbitrarily say, let's increase taxes and put the burden on the taxpayer so we can put money into account that will hopefully be there for what we need it for, I just don't think right now in this budget is the right time, and I think for the remainder of this year with 6 months left as we go into next year, our focus should be on figuring those items out, budgeting accordingly, and having a real quantitative number. I just feel like we were doing things for the sake of doing things, and that's why I stepped back on it.
Understood. I still think that we're going to have a very difficult time getting that money back out of the sewer and your water utility, and we're gonna have to eventually raise water rates to
I
offset
don't
that.
think we'll have to
Anyway,
raise
that's
water
it.
rates.
I don't think we're
I
gonna,
don't agree with that at all.
yeah, I don't agree either. I think that we have too many things that we need to, look at, too many other things that need to be, updated. Our ordinances are antiquated, we don't charge the right fees in town for various things. I just think that this is a better way to go when you have your taxes being raised by the county and by the school. And I proposed this change to have a zero budget because I feel at this particular time it's the best thing for the public and the best thing for the town. And all the other stuff can be worked out later on. And I know that Chris's Campion has talked about looking at the water rates and possibly doing some things there, but my indication is that it's not to raise them, it's to fine tune them and get them into more of a level playing ground as well. So I don't think that this is something that is not good for people.
And Tom, to your point, I think part of that discussion, and you had mentioned at previous meetings that I'm in agreement on, I think it's time to reevaluate our rates and look at decreasing them back to where they were, because part of what allows us to do this is it was growing much quicker than we had anticipated with the money that was in there.
Precisely, and
So I agree.
if that continues to be the case,
But I
we
think
should
that
be
we
spending
should,
that money, yeah.
I think as part of this, we should do that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that before the end of the year, we should look at reevaluating our rates and trying to do something going forward to get back to where we can reasonably put money aside and bill for what we need, as
And I
opposed
get-
to what we project, which projections apparently were aggressive and can be rolled back a little bit.
Do you know offhand, what the last year's surplus for the water and sewer utility was? Just to give me a sense of taking $100,000 extra out. I just want to know, I mean, I said, well, in 3 years, we're going to have to raise water rates. And I would rather be speaking from the facts than just making that number up.
I have the audit here.
So that's all. Because I think you're right. We need to make sure that the money is coming from the right place. And I do see the point here that the money is there. Why not spend it so that we don't have to raise taxes? My concern is that if we're taking away flexibility, or we eventually have to raise rates because we made that choice, that's where I'm worried. But
Don't worry, don't be concerned about that. Just think of it in simple terms as, yes, we wanted to help the taxpayers out.
yeah, but I think you have to think longer term than just this year.
That's right.
I don't want I'm a taxpayer in town, but I don't want it in 3 years to be a 7-cent tax increase because of something that we could have spread over 3 years. I want, if there's going to be increases over the next 3 years, I'd rather have 1.5 cents, 1.5 cents, because I can budget for that. I can't budget for like a 7-cent increase is tough. So that's what I'm trying to avoid, and so, like this, I mean, doing this number.
Sure. The audited fund balance for the utility fund at 12/31/13 was $260,382.08. I believe that year also took into consideration almost a full year of the rate increase. At the end of 12/31/14, we had a fund balance of $590,620.51. So, and whoever asked that question.
So it was increasing, sorry, how much each year?
Well, in this case, 330,000.
Each year.
Well, no, just this year over
Just-
14.
Okay, so if we take 100,000, what we need to do is be looking at the rates, because
Absolutely.
we should still theoretically have a $100,000 surplus next year.
I'm sorry, cut you off first, pause there. In the 2013 budget, we utilized 109,000 of our fund balance in the surplus, in the utility fund. That pretty much wiped it out. So the net of operations was $260,000 in essence profitable.
Okay.
And then the following year, $330,000 as per the statement of operations in the audit. So that's a year-over-year delta in that case. And certainly, as you look forward to sewer improvements, you can allocate in future years' budgets capital outlay, capital improvement money to self-fund, not have to go out to debt, issue debt on any kind of sewer improvements that you might have. So it gives you that flexibility of utilizing that surplus that you've built up.
If it's there, yeah.
Correct. And we're only using $100,000 in the budget you just adopted out of that $590,000. So I anticipate it will be there for you.
You anticipate that we will regenerate that next year? Okay. But no, I just wanted to be more clear.
We don't want to. Thank you, Tom.
Is it too
Chris?
late to ask the question?
I'm good.
You good? All right.
I think that was a very healthy discussion.
Rita asked that it's too late to ask questions.
So the public discussion was closed.
Oh, okay.
From the public?
You had voted to close the public
Yeah, we
discussion,
voted.
now I think you're about to vote actually
Yeah.
on budget.
No, we're voting, are we voting on the amendment or voting on?
Voted on the amendment.
Amendment's done.
Now we're voting on the amended
Voted on the
budget.
Amended budget.
Yes, correct, right,
Now, we're voting on the amendment, to adopt the amendment.
In essence, you're adopting the amended budget.
Yes, amended budget.
You already adopted,
the budget.
you already adopted the amendment, now you're adopting the amended budget.
We got it. And is that the, do we have a number on that, 101?
That's
No.
Resolution 2015-100.
100, thank you. Resolution 2015-100, adopting municipal budget. Need a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
Second. Any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
No.
Mr. Borback?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Vinnie, we covered all the ordinance and the resolutions.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Jerry?
Yes,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
So, no, I think you're there.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Now we move to the public comment section where you may step forward and speak on any agenda item you like. Just give your name and address on the agenda item.
Is that
Yes,
budget considered an agenda item?
yes, yes,
I'm not sure anymore.
yes.
I hope so.
I'm getting a little confused with the moving of the money and saving money. So, from an emergency management standpoint, I would ask this. What would be our economic disaster preparedness plan? Temporary debris management will blow through approximately 2/3 of your budget. And to give you a little bit of timeline, Barrow Seabright had a $5 million municipal budget. Hurricane Sandy, $3 million. A lot of money. You know, we have some mutual aid with other towns, and that's great, and there's a saving. But at the same time, if they're having issues, help isn't coming. How do we become more self-sustaining? And a large disaster doesn't necessarily mean that FEMA is coming in with more money for your residents. So this is why I keep trying to hammering home to be prepared and have residents be the most self-sustaining. So if a disaster comes, that their ability to cope is a higher threshold than without it. So, but something I would like you to keep in mind is FEMA's going to look at your track record. And here's your bit of what's called a little bit of a FEMA scorecard. Ability to pay down your debt, attempt to manage your budget, attempt to collect unpaid taxes, and maintain vendor contracts and make them. Because a lot of vendor contracts have an escape clause that says, disaster, sorry, price is different now. So of course our attorney would have to look at some of those to make sure that that wouldn't happen. But so in view of that, it's also called, it's a term where it goes into the labor costs, the overtime costs, and I got some advice, and well, it's a project, and it's that every vehicle, every asset, every radio, every computer, every street light needs to be photographed. You'd be shocked that a town actually had to prove they had manhole covers after Storm Sandy to get some of their money. So with the new fire hydrants, by all means, let's photograph them, keep that together, because those things do happen. So, you know, things going here, and for myself, you know, there was a stipend last year. I didn't take it. And I thought, honestly, I was kind of holding that for a rainy day. But it went someplace. And the OEM budget that I did have for expenses was also decreased last time I looked. That could have changed by now. So I think sometimes it's, and I would agree that spending money at the end of the year, the use it or lose it, isn't always the best practice because you're not always getting the best for your money, the best value. But had I known that I would have lost that money, because it was a salary, I thought it might be held a bit, I would have spent the money on educating through a poster in the mail, a mailing. I thought I could have moved that money if Public Works needed a little bit extra to get some salt, or the fire department needed some more of these absorbent pads they use at every car accident. But they didn't have that opportunity. So, but I do hope that part of your plan, somewhere, that there's going to be that little idea that should there be another situation in town that will occur, disaster level, that we can deal with it, and that we have the funds to do it.
I think, Rita, to your point, wasn't that part of what that increase was we voted on before for the cap bank? Wasn't that for unforeseen expenses of such?
Yeah, this is what I'm asking. I don't really know if that is or isn't. I don't know where it
Have the
goes.
two guys
so
answer
That's
it
why I
right up
asked.
In fact, it's more of a global issue with regard to the cap bank, that's the entire budget. Specifically to the OEM budget, it was a $3,100 salary and wage that wasn't charged. And also last year, we budgeted $6,000, of which about $2,800 was spent. The New Jersey budget and finance laws indicate that any purchase orders that are open before the end of the year can be paid in the subsequent year, so that money doesn't go away, it lapses at the second year. But salaries and wages, that's what the stipend is. It has to be paid out either in lump sum or some other bi-weekly paycheck.
So in other words, it couldn't have been encumbered or moved someplace else?
No, you can't,
Like you-
through the governing body, you can't reserve a salary and wage line item for a future expense. It's being incurred in the period when it was charged. Generally stipends, whether it's different various positions of the municipality, they may get a certain figure, say it's $3,100, and it's sprinkled over 26 paychecks.
Right.
But those monies do lapse, and
No, that's-
on behalf of the borough, we thank you for not spending that money.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, it would have been almost, it would have been nice to, even if it was half of it, to say, you know, can I do 500 here, can I move 500 here, or 500 there?
Sure.
I wish I had known that it, or that is or isn't a possibility.
Yeah, two things include the governing body to you. There are transfers that are allowed to happen, so that if it is the desire of the administration and the governing body to make those transfers happen in the last 2 months of the year, they can move that. Say, for instance, $3,100 could have gone to your OE and spent it on a mailer or something of that nature. That's not going to harm us at all. The other thing that you made mention at the beginning of the meeting was, you know, how do we prepare for an emergency and basically get those resources in place so when, you know, another superstorm hits us or another natural disaster, the state budget law allows us to pass emergency appropriations. In the case of Spring Lake Heights, $140,000 was passed, and that's what you do in the reactiveness. Now, as far as FEMA, we exceeded that $140,000 in reimbursements to the boroughs. That's great management on the case of the administration.
Yes, he's been
Documenting, you've seen other boroughs, Seaside Heights, Little Lake Harbor, all up and down the coast. I mean, they're reeling because their auditors came in, and some of those are my towns. And we've had to go out and get more information for them. So-
No, I have to say, Jay was kind enough to share some of our equipment list with me and how well that's all inventoried, and it was spot on, you know, couldn't have asked for better. It's just more things now I find out are gonna have to be put on that, like new fire hydrants and things, which to me I thought was strange, but it was some advice I've gotten, and, you know, listening to mayors from other towns that really.
It sounds like fairly strange advice to have to take pictures of fire hydrants and streetlights, and I have to say, from my 20 years' experience on that side, I've never heard that in the instances where I had to.
An asset either.
But there's the county GIS that you can get from their videos of flybys. You can see that's updated every year where they fly by and redo the video. You have Google Earth or any number of other utilities where you can get aerial photography for little things like that. So as far as emergency finance planning and trying to put money aside for Sandy, the reality is you're not going to. That's the bottom line, because you can't foresee daily things that happen, the events that we can foresee in the areas that we know flood, in the areas we know we have problems. We can budget for that, we can plan for that in a reasonable measure. Storms like Sandy, I don't think it's fair, and I don't think any taxpayer in town is going to want to pay an increase of thousands of dollars a year so we can put money aside in case another once-in-a-lifetime storm comes through. And unfortunately, that's the reality we live in, where what's reasonable.
Well, then apparently you didn't hear my question. My question was quite specific. It said, as you were talking about, you had been moving money around and there's existing money. Could it be held aside for something like that? Would it be available for a plan?
That is what the fund
And
balance
some of
is. The
what I'm
fund balance
asking
is money
today-
that's there that can be used.
And some of what I'm asking today is the result of a seminar held by the Monmouth County Sheriff last week, which you were welcome to go to. It was open to everyone.
I don't think going to the seminar would change the answers to the question, but I appreciate the invite.
But what I'm saying is, you answered a question I didn't ask. That wasn't my question.
I'm sorry, I must have misunderstood, because I thought you opened by saying, what is our emergency plan for finance? So I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
What I said was, I didn't understand when you talked about money that was being moved from water or here to that. And now, did we have this economic sort of disaster plan? And would this be something that could be planned for, or that money, if necessary, could be tapped into that you're moving around? That was my question. That was it.
Well, that's, anytime there's a fund balance, I believe we can use that for any type of emergency like this, right, John?
If there's an emergency, it's determined by the township attorney as to how many years it is. It's a 3 or 5 year emergency, depending on the type of emergency. Everything standing is 5 year. So in essence, the fund balance that's there is certainly to appropriate the balance exceeding the budget, but wouldn't be a direct allocation in the current fund to funds a said emergency. What I think is also being questioned, or based on the observation of the audience tonight, is that we're speaking of capital improvement money or capital outlay money in the current fund, and then the capital fund freeing up surplus. In the event that there is an emergency and you need to get a rigid stick of butter, that's a capital expense. You could appropriate that through an ordinance, and of course, kind of defeats the purpose of an emergency. You have 2 readings and public hearing, all this stuff. 40 days later, and at that point, you could then appropriate that improvement out of the capital surplus. So I just want to make sure we're on the same capital fund, current fund. Current fund surplus, it is a question, you can't appropriate it. In the capital surplus, you could.
That was my question. That's what you were speaking of when you were talking. Okay. All right. That was my question. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita.
Kathleen Crippen, 564 Atlantic Avenue. This is on behalf of the Environmental Commission. I see in Bill's list tonight an appropriation from the Open Space Fund, and we had brought something similar up at the last meeting. I spent a lot of time on the phone last week with the Green Acres program. The Borough and Green Acres program have an agreement that's known as the Recreation and Open Space Inventory, or the ROSI. The Open Space Fund is supposed to be dedicated for improvements only on properties in the ROSI, and it's not transferable to other entities. So I would like to ask that the mayor and council direct the borough attorney to contact Green Acres and speak with their legal advisor. Worst case scenario, the state Green Acres program makes you pay money back into the Open Space Fund. So I would hate to see you spend all the time appropriating money now and have to figure out in next year's budget hearings how to pay it back. So if Gary could follow up, that would be great. Thank you.
I'll look into that.
Thank you, Ken. Anyone else like to speak? Seeing no hands, I need a motion to close the public comment.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the mayor and council reports. Mr. O'Brien, finance chair. Do you have any reports?
I think I've said enough, we had the budget.
Okay. Mr. Schuler,
Nothing to report.
Councilman King,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Warbeck,
Nothing there.
and Mr. Timpkins.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you.
Mayor,
And Mr.
pardon
Campbell.
pardon the
What did I
interruption.
do, skip something again?
We need to actually vote on our budget.
I didn't look at-
Did we?
I think we
I
did.
apologize, we did. I'm sorry, we did.
That's all right.
It's a busy night.
Do you have it? Do you have it?
Sure, we can do it 3 or 4 times. See what happens.
I'm sorry.
Both stop, catch your breath. Chris?
Jay, at a previous council meeting, someone had inquired about a hydrant that was out of service. Was that one of the 6 that was replaced?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So the hydrant that a resident had concern about that was out of service 2 meetings prior has been addressed.
Thank you. Anyone have a chance to look at all the reports and notices? The the flag ceremony, that's from Commander John Patterson. The police report. Okay. I think that's it. We covered the ordinance introductions. We have a few resolutions. We'll start with Resolution R 2015-102, canceling certain general sewer capital improvement balances. Need a motion and a second on that.
Make that motion.
Second?
Let me find it, give me a second. We got comments. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-103, appointing the summer recreation employees. Need a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Any questions on the employees? We'll thank Chris for this.
Thank you.
Roll call, Janine?
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Do I have to abstain? My son is one of the items, yeah, abstain.
Abstain. Mr. Schuler?
Abstain.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
It's made all age on me, huh?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-104, authorizing mayor and clerk to execute agreement with the Monmouth County Community Development Project. Motion and a second, please.
Make that motion.
Second?
Do we have any questions?
This
Roll
is for
call.
the
Oh, sorry.
community center, right? Just, right?
Yes.
We talked about this several different meetings, I just wanted to make sure the public knew that. It's voting on the improvements for the community center.
Yes. Thank you.
That includes the generator for Rita.
That's generally.
Well, for all of us, not just for Rita.
We're trying for that for a long time.
Yes, I'm so very glad that that is.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-105, authorizing mayor and clerk to sign a certification prohibiting excessive force and prohibiting use of federal funds. Need a motion and a second?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Do we have any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-106, approving of social fair special permit for the Ocean Housing Alliance. Motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Do we have any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-107, approving the payments on June 5th, 2015 bills list. Motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Resolution R 2015-108, resolution authorizing special counsel to execute consent agreement in the matter of Crippen versus Village Heights. You need a motion and a second.
Make that motion.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Campion?
Yes.
Mrs. King?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Schuler?
Yes.
Mr. Tinkin?
Yes.
Mr. Borbeck?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Reach that point of the meeting where we have the public comment section where you may speak on whatever's on your mind. Just step forward, give your name and address. Seeing no one, oh, here comes Kat.
Be quick.
Can't move that fast anymore.
No, let's get ready to close it.
Cat Crippen, 564 Atlantic Avenue. For a brief time, there was a folder on the back table that had copies of all the resolutions and ordinances and all the paperwork that you folks were discussing for that particular night. Could that practice, and I think you, Councilman Campion, had kind of instigated that, and then it kind of fell off. Could you re-implement that? Because I really would love to know, just in the title, what prohibiting excessive force and prohibiting use of federal funds is about. So it would be really educational for those of us out in the audience to be able to actually read the resolutions and
Well,
ordinances.
that's saying that our police department will not use excessive force, which they don't.
Which they don't.
Which they don't. I believe this,
allocation.
I believe this was in order for them to get funds.
Yes, we have to comply with the federal.
It would be nice to have everything that you guys have
You're right.
up on the back table. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Anyone else like to speak? Seeing no hands, need a motion to close?
Make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unless someone has something they would like to get off their mind, their chest, need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.